So how did you get started rowing?
I'd been involved with some different sports and had met Randy at different occasions, and he finally was like, why don't you come on down and row sometime? So I gave it a shot and just loved it the first time. I was scared to death, but really, really liked it. So I was kind of hooked. It was about 6 years ago. Yeah.
And you started on an erg, or did you actually get in a boat? Or?
Got in the boat, so in a double, so with an able-bodied partner. Yeah.
And have you always, I mean, like, as you've gone on for rowing, have you been like, you know, I don't like this equipment, or I don't like that?
Did small adjustments, and just, Bobby is really good about figuring out technically what needs to happen, so shortening the oars, weighting the handles so that it's easier to pop out. Getting the new oars that were much lighter made a huge difference. So all those little things add up.
So you don't feather, right?
I don't feather at all. Exactly.
And so does that make the balance that much more?
I don't know, since I've never feathered.
Well, yeah.
So I think just because of my lack of function in some areas, it just, that pushing down motion can be difficult. So I have a pretty good tricep on my left side, on my right, very, very little. And so just that pushing down, popping the oars out of the water.
So is that where weighted over more, or is it just?
No, they're actually equal, but I just try to compensate. Yeah.
You started with spoons too, didn't you? With
I
the
did
making
start with
blades.
spoons, yeah, because I couldn't get the oars out of the water enough. I would just keep catching, and so forgot about that. So started with the spoons, and then I would say it was probably 3 or 4 years that I used the spoons, and then moved to the hatchets, and then got the lighter weight oars last year, and so the past 2 seasons have been great. Big difference.
Does your partner rower have to feather, or are they?
I'm doing a single all the time now. So, but if I am doing, you know, in a double with an able-bodied partner, they have to match my stroke, but that does not mean that they have to.
They feather.
They can feather,
Somebody in the boat needs to feather if you don't have the punch.
That helps with the balance. Can you kind of talk about the process of getting into the boat, and also how you came up with that? Was that all Bobby? Did he already know what to do, or?
It was just basically, you know, this is the only way that's going to work. So I just have 2 people that pick me up, one underneath my knees, one underneath my arms, 1, 2, 3, swing over, and go down into the boat. So, and I'm somewhat used to that just from, you know, getting into a rugby chair or something like that. So, you know, after 21 years, I'm kind of used to being slung around and pretty trustworthy of the people that are helping me. So, now the only thing, like being down on the dock, I've never had a problem getting in and out of the boat, but I mean, there's the potential that, I mean, because they have to kind of, one person will typically have to step into the boat, so makes it a little tricky sometimes, and it just also means that you've got to have at least 2 or 3 people around when you want to go rowing, so they're able to help. So that makes it a little bit, it's not just going and doing some other sport where you can kind of go out and do it by yourself.
And when you have a partner rower, does your partner get in first to kind of stabilize it, or sort of less?
Typically not, because it would take so long for me to get ready, you know, get all the belts and straps together, and so well, and then also that the person's having to step into the boat, so it's probably better for the person in back not to be there.
The person that's behind her lifts her up, steps into the boat. So there's really no place for somebody to be.
Okay.
Yeah. How much of your own straps and everything do you put on? Like, do other people do it for you? Do you do a lot of it yourself? Or is it just
depends
on the day?
It depends on the day. Yeah. Are we really rushed? Is it one of those days where everything's just going wrong? Just help. You know, I'm willing to have help, so I'm not. I think they know. You know, I'll ask for help if I want it or need it. So, you know, I know exactly how I want everything, so that's why it's good to know how to do it, because then you can't complain if someone does it the way that you don't want it done. So it's better just to be able to do it. And I figured out, you know, the belt and how I like to have it done so that I can get it undone in case of an emergency. which I haven't had yet. So
Good.
Don't plan on it.
Well, yeah.
The new straps that I have, like I said, I can pretty much get them on by myself. I can definitely tighten them or loosen them while I'm on the water. So, you know, after I row a couple 100 meters, a lot of times, you know, oh, these are too tight, they're too loose, and I can adjust them. Whereas before, with my other grips, I was just out there and tough luck.
Yeah.
So,
And how long are you typically out on the water? How long does it take to get up and down from the dock?
up and down from the dock, I wouldn't say the dock is the issue. Out on the water, once again, it just depends on the day. And I can't say I'm usually out for more than 45 minutes, so it's usually not very long. Just go up to the, you know, the head of the, whatever you want to call it. Just
That little area.
yes, the chute.
Yeah.
From there to the bridge is 1,000 meters. So this summer, what I really focused on was just trying to get a warm up in, at least for the past 6-7 weeks. Just doing a race pace of that 1,000 meters. So that was my main focus, just because I wanted to make sure I could do that 1,000 meters and not die by the end of it, and know my pace and stuff like that.
The heat affects you.
The heat's really bad, so that's the main thing why I don't stay out longer, because I will overheat. As a quad, I don't sweat, and so in this weather that we've been having, like way over 90 degrees and really humid, I just overheat. So I'll get off the water, and my temperature will be 102.
Can you feel it as it's happening? Or
I get nauseous. I feel
So you start
I
to
feel
feel
it.
all like headaches or just dizzy.
Just nasty. Yeah, just hot, tired, and sometimes even nauseous from that hot. So
All of the things listed in the U.S. rowing safety video.
yeah, and I can't take a drink while I'm out there.
Right.
I can't wet myself down. I can't pour water over myself. So it's just, let's just get off the water. So, but I know in the long run, especially like when I come out here first thing in the morning, I've got stuff to do all day long. Okay, I can't go home and lay down for 4 hours to cool off, because that's about how long it takes to cool off. So just try to keep it to where I'm not too overheated, and so that I can go on with my day.
Do you get a headache later if you get overheated?
No.
You're just
No.
need some rest and you're fine.
Yeah.
You were in the pictures for the Viata regatta. Can you just kind of talk about your experience and what you liked and what you didn't like, what you changed, things like that?
The classification system at this point is the biggest hindrance for me. The arms and shoulders division it's supposed to be anyone with the T12 injury level or higher. Well, the two girls that I was rowing against this year weren't even spinal cord injuries. So one has MS, one has a stroke. So very, very different disabilities. Obviously, temperature isn't a problem.
Right.
Actually, for Laura, it might be with MS.
It is for
Is it?
multiple
Okay.
sclerosis. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it can be. And so, they put us at 2:40 in the afternoon, which in every other sport where quads are involved, quads are always first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just a given. With quad rugby, the gym is literally probably kept at 65 degrees. So, just because it's such an issue with quads with overheating. So, thankfully it was a beautiful day. It wasn't humid, and so it was warm. It was borderline hot, but so that wasn't the main issue. I was worried about it though. So in the back of your mind, you're going, okay, I'm gonna get overheated, and then so it's just a worry factor. But the main thing is just I know that there's no chance, and that's frustrating. So I've trained all this time. There's not going to be any chance that I can even be close to the other two because of the classification system. So I would love to see a quad division, men and women together, because you're not going to have enough quads to make a female quad division. So that's what tennis does, that's what rugby does. You just throw all the quads together. I would rather compete against a male quad than a female with disability that's so far from being a quad that it's just not even. And I don't want to use the word fair, but it's kind of what it feels like. That's not fair. So, I'm trying to think about anything else. My goal for the regatta was just to finish. And I knew I could row 1,000, that wasn't the issue. But I knew if I made my expectations any higher, I'd be crushed. I was still crushed, so I was still very unhappy. Yeah, yeah. That's just me, and it's not that I'm competitive. I just like.
I understand.
Yeah.
She's competitive.
I don't care about the winning part of it. It's just doing my best, and I know I did my best. Well,
it's like knowing that you have the ability to, win if you wanted to, or I don't know.
And I don't even know if that's the case. I don't know if even against quads. I don't know if that's
playing ground.
Yeah, that would help. So
it's frustrating. For me, if I work really hard and I have good technique, but there's someone that comes along that's just bigger and stronger, and they'll always row faster than me. It's great, thanks, yeah.
So it's when I just really had to focus, and I told everyone around me for weeks leading into it, just remind me my goal was to finish.
Yeah.
Because I know myself well enough, I'm going to be upset no matter what the results are. So, and sure enough.
Did you go pretty straight? Are you able to row pretty straight?
Yeah, I don't have too much problem with that. Now, the first time or two,
Yeah, well,
it wasn't very pretty, but I feel like I can row fairly straight, and
How nervous?
Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If we go back to the first films we took of you 2 years ago and compare them to today, technique, straight, everything. Plus, you're in a faster boat, but we've got it tweaked better.
Exactly.
We got the oars set to the right length for the rigging, and a lot of things worked out that weren't worked out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're rowing, wow.
Yeah.
A lot better.
What was really nice, I had 2 people come up to me at the banquet at the regatta and just really gave me some encouragement that was very much needed at that point. I'm just like, I'm never going to come here again. I mean, this is useless. Why put in all this time and effort to just come and row 1,000 meters when I could have done that here? Knowing the results. But one of the men came up and said, your technique was really, really good. Your form was great. Just keep it up and keep going. Obviously, there needs to be another division.
Yeah.
And so that was that gave me, thank you for at least acknowledging that, that was good. Yeah.
When you first started, you said that you were really scared.
Just the water itself. Yeah, so I don't get in the water very often. So it's just, okay, what if I do go in the water? And then being strapped in and having no way to get out, that's a little...
Was there anything that they did to kind of be a little bit more comforting, so that you
I think just knowing that there was an able-bodied rower in the boat with me, that, if something were to happen, they'd be there. So I think just having that comfort, that was good.
Well, her balance has improved so much.
Yeah.
That there was some of the days we had them not all the way up, but up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And she would row the whole 1,000 meters, and she'd row the whole 1,000 meters. Pontoons wouldn't even touch the water.
FISA rules say that they have to be sitting on the water.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Are you doing all the balance with your hands, or is there any with your body?
If you get your body set, then it's just your hands.
I do. My balance comes really from my sight, almost all. If that makes any sense. With a spinal cord injury, you have no proprioception, so you don't know where your body is. And so I keep my eyes about, I would say, 40 feet from the end of the boat. And that's kind of my sense of balance. As far as balance can definitely come from the oars, but I can lean one direction or the other. Just by pulling my shoulders one direction or the other. I have to make really sure that when I get into the boat that my hips are even. Because a lot of times my left hip will shift to the left. I have to make sure that I'm even, otherwise I will be sitting crooked the entire time and keep catching one or more. So I have to be really careful about that. And once I'm out on the water and in that, it's a lost cause.
Where's your, you told me a number of times where your feeling starts and stops.
Right here.
So when you're sitting in the boat, what do you feel? I mean, I feel my rear and all of that, and the hips separate. You don't feel any of that.
No,
or do you?
Well, no, I don't. Yeah, I would say really. I mean, I can feel sometimes the ore on my hand, not necessarily on my hand, on my thumb and a couple fingers. So I'll typically tape those because it's almost hypersensitive on my thumb, and it'll just continue to rub on the glove. And so not knowing, okay, is that bad or is it just rubbing? I'll just tape that up to kind of numb that. That makes any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just being able to know where you are by sight.
So then when you're pulling through, how do you feel like okay, that was a good stroke, or I moved the boat on that one, or I mean, is it all just you just look and you can see it, or is it like
I think it's just practice? So I think I can definitely feel it. You can definitely feel the difference, when you're going upstream or downstream, where you get that catch, the really good catch. I typically like rowing upstream better because I like getting that really good catch and that pull, because you can feel that more, whereas it just feels soft and mushy, going downstream. So, I mean, it's just, I think that's probably typical stuff that all rowers can feel after a couple years.
How long you been rowing?
About 6.
6 years, so it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's getting better.
If it's really windy, you can definitely feel the wind pushing against the oars since I don't feather, which isn't always a bad thing. It's like, okay, so this is some strength training now.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's not too hard.
Try to take it for what you can get out of it, and so as long as it's not a race, hey, it's all good, right?
What were some of the first things that you started working on technique-wise? I mean, now you're talking about catches, but, we have rowers, we're still legs, body, arms, body, legs. Like, that takes a long time to get used to. What's sort of the
put the
technique development?
You start to move. Like,
Well, since I don't slide, I don't have any of those issues. But so it was basically, it was just getting that stroke down, when to pop the oars out, how far to lean forward, and that's still something. As arms and shoulders, you're really not supposed to lean that far forward. So my posture has gotten a lot better, and I think, I've spent a lot of time in the gym as well. So I know at first I would do the typical quad turtle thing, where you're kind of doing this sort of thing, where you're getting your weight back by using your neck.
Yeah.
I'm really able to pull through my back now. Yeah. Even though I don't have function below my level of injury, it's still learning that pull through the shoulders rather than using your neck, because that ends up hurting.
What kind of training did you do in the gym to build the?
I just some strength training. So,
you're like, I don't know.
I don't know that.
Yeah. I would just
I do some stuff.
Pulls. Yeah. So just pulling back. Arms, shoulders. I mean, that's all I can. I can do.
Now, you worked with a personal trainer a little while this year, right?
I did for about 3 months. Yeah, there was a grant available.
And how did that work? How did that work out?
It was great. I feel like I got a lot more out of it. He was able to push me a little bit more. And not only that, but some of this, I didn't have to worry about setting up all the equipment. So I had someone right then and there that was able to help and able to get a really good workout in 45 minutes to an hour. Was also able to do a lot of balance stuff, and I think that probably helped me a lot on the water, where I would get over onto the mat and just be pushed side to side, have to catch myself, lean as far forward as I could, and pull back. Go backwards, kind of do as much of a sit-up. It's not a sit-up, it's all weight and all balance to get up to do that. So I think all of that was really helpful this year.
When you started rowing and you were with a partner rower, were there things like, okay, that was annoying that you did that, or, are there things that bother you about the rowers that are with you, or are you just like, whatever?
No, I had really good success with all of my partner rowers. It's cold now. I think my first partner rower the first year it was Randy. So that worked out really well. He was used to rowing with new rowers, and then the following year Jenny Pagney came, and she had sweep experience at the college level. And so she just came down as a volunteer. And so that was really good to...
You guys have video together, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the YouTube videos of the two of them. Yeah.
So that was really good to have her around and just to get, you know, really comfortable with one person.
Yeah.
But it's also really good to be able to jump in and out with anyone. So that, I mean, you can row with anyone. But then also, like at regatta one year, at the Viata one year, I was just randomly put with someone else. And so it's good not to be freaked out, okay, you know. But they were used to rowing with adaptive rowers. And so it's just a matter of communication and being able to talk, okay, we're going to have to slow it down a little bit or speed it up, let's do a strong 10. And just knowing how to talk to each other.
Do you prefer the single, just because you can kind of do your own thing? Or is it just different?
They're just different, yeah. I feel like I don't have as, well, I was going to say I don't feel like there's as much pressure on me when I'm in a single because there's not someone else to screw up.
Yeah.
You know, for me to screw up for that person. But at the same time, and a double's much easier to me because you've got that extra help. So you can really, I can really tell a difference being in a single than a double. So a double is easier. Whereas the single, there's a lot more work.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you got to be steering and all that stuff too. So
when you first started, had you had your tendon transfers?
Yes.
At that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would it have been if you hadn't had those? Could you have done this?
It would have been really hard on my left side because I had absolutely no tricep on my right side. With the tendon transfers, I used my posterior deltoid to act as a tricep. So that, you know, the action of getting those oars out and in front of you would be even more difficult. So...
Because you got a lot of function from that.
Fairly good amount.
I mean
it's not normal by any means.
No, but I mean, you got a lot more than you had in terms of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things I don't really know the difference it made.
When you talk about communicating, when you're first starting out, especially, I mean, we're going to be starting out with all new people everywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we're talking about, so...
Yeah.
I didn't either. I still can't tell you port and starboard. Yeah. Still don't know those.
Well, if you don't row sleep,
Yeah.
who cares? Right, left.
Exactly. It's just so much easier.
Do you find that it's useful to have, you know, somebody that knows your, you know, disability really, really well? Or do you need that specialty there?
I don't think so. I think it's knowing yourself well enough and being able to tell someone else, this is what I need, or this is what we need to do. I don't think, I mean, that's just my personal opinion, that you need to know yourself well enough to know what you need. If it's time to go in because you're overheated, you just have to say that. Now, Bobby knows me well enough that
Be like,
I will push it at times. And I know when to push it and when not to. If I don't have anything going on afterwards, I'll push it to the nth degree and be miserable afterwards. But otherwise...
But there's nothing the matter with the coach asking the rower, is there, about their disability?
No, because they need to be educated as well. Yeah, I mean, if you guys need to know something, and you might even just phrase it, you know, if I have some questions, is it be okay if I ask you, just so that I can learn? So.
Well, and it's not exactly knowing what questions we need to ask.
Exactly.
That's
right.
going to be the hard part for me, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I want as much communication as I can get, but I don't know how
I don't
to
know
start
what I need
it.
to know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Right.
When you were learning the technique, was it helpful to watch other people, or was it just like, well, that's really pointless because it's not the same?
It's a little bit of both. I still like to watch. I still try to find video of other people rowing, especially arms and shoulders rowers. Is that always helpful? No, because, you know,
Different bodies,
even though you're not
different
supposed
concerns.
to lean, people still lean several inches forward. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing that.
Right.
So how can I adapt it? But I can take from what I see and say, actually several weeks ago before the Viata, I noticed by watching some videos that the oars were going in, more than 90 degrees behind them, where I'm getting them in at 90 and then pulling forward. And so I knew that was an issue. And what was really interesting is one of the rowers' fathers came up and talked to me afterwards, and just said, he was one of the people that said, you know, your technique is really good, your stroke rating is great, you've got to get the oars in behind you, and here's some of the ways that you can do that. And so that's what we're going to be working on for the next couple months. I have a feeling is just, okay, how can we get me up farther in the boat, the oars behind me, and yet not hit? Because when I pull through, I just get caught in my belly. So we're going to have to work on that. Exactly. And that's where I have no knowledge, so I have to rely completely on them to be able to know that.
Well, there's some experimentation anyway.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
I know. I only use grips. I mean, I'm not disabled, but I need the adaptation. And none of us had the experience with the grips that I brought. So we just went out there and kind of flailed around. You know, as long as nobody gets hurt, and you're testing. You're doing some testing. That's what you're doing.
So going to regatta, but just having exposure to other people that are familiar with it and have made adaptations. That's really helpful.
It is, and since I'd really like to see the video so I can see the different techniques that were going on and see how people are rowing. So I find that the most helpful. Of course, you can't watch the other rowers when you're rowing, so I can watch them.
It was her video that the coach in Australia watched that gave us some coaching ideas on how to lock your oars down.
That's been really, really helpful. It's sped up the whole process a lot.
You never know where it's going to come from, is what I'm getting at.
If you watch like Chunkin Arms rower or someone who can lean over, I mean, does that help you at all, or is it like, well, whatever? It's great that you can do that, but
I think everything can help. So you just kind of have to
just seeing like
what can I take?
How you can
what
use
can I
the
take away?
momentum
Exactly. Yeah.